Hi, my name is Pagan and I am the creator of Effect's Frat-Boy Behaviour hands-on female Australian streamers.
There are so many people, and a majority of them tend to be men, and I hate being like, oh, men are the worst, but like a majority, like 99.9% of them are all men in positions of power that have been in the game for a really long time. They've done all this horrible stuff across the board, just like in every way that they could do something horrible, and yet they're still there because you can't de-seat them, you can't dethrone them from their position of power in the community because they've been there for so long and they're friends with everyone.
So when people call them out, you always get asked, why are you giving them attention? You bring it up because people don't believe half the things that get said to creators. And so when you present the proof, it's then never enough. It's always fake, or it's just not enough to cry about. And so, documentation is important, but is it enough to break the cycle? Is it worth taking things to light, or should you just block and ban them and move on?
I will say I've been quite lucky, which isn't maybe the correct word to use, fortunate, that I have, for the most part, dodged a lot of that. I don't really I have quite what I would consider to be, for streaming purposes, quite a safe community and quite a welcoming community of queer folk, from all walks of life, nationalities, spectrums, that kind of thing. And they're quite accepting, quite supportive, and we are generally pretty, have a low tolerance for troll comments, that kind of thing. So I usually don't see a lot of that. On content in which I am not, like, content that isn't directly controlled by my social medias. I have gotten a couple of comments here and there, usually about my appearance. But for the most part, I have been I'm quite grateful that I seem to have dodged a lot of that compared to people that I do know.
I think the internet's too big and there's too many people on the planet for it to be like frequently an attack on me. A lot of the times it's like an attack on society or like their views of how society should be and you not conforming to that. It's like a lot of the time they're lashing out at someone they don't know, but it's kind of like a nameless face of something they don't like. The internet's like so anonymous and so disconnected that I feel like most people are just out there swinging blindly at people. It's like, today it's you guys, like, come at me.
There are people that do gather in groups and routinely bully creators over and over again, but it depends on the individual. Those people who have that mob mentality are the ones that have an actual problem with the creator specifically. Anyone who comes back twice, they have a problem with you. And random acts of trolling is much more regular and consistent, and they do this just to get a reaction.
I'm a little unsure. I believe that these attacks, the personal ones, began when I decided to go full-time creation and streaming, because they were from a lot of burner accounts trying to tear me down, as in, like, you don't deserve to be a full-time creator or streamer, like, your content is absolutely garbage, you should give up. Like, it was a lot of that from very similar made accounts, and I knew they were personal. I knew they were from someone that I would have known. I've had a lot of theories, because sometimes you just have too much time to think about it, and could not tell you if they were male or not. I believe that they might have been male, but I don't. At the end of the day, what they were spouting didn't feel like an attack on my gender. It felt more like an attack on just me as a person, that I had the benefit, the luck, the circumstance of being able to go full time just because of where I live and my financial circumstances. I was able to take that chance, where I know a lot of people wish they could take that chance. So I don't know if I personally offended anybody by taking that chance. But I could not tell you who they were or anything like that. They were very well hidden. That was the beginning of it. I managed to push through that well enough. But it led to a more severe attempt at doxing, which was my first experience in it. I had received an email from Coffee, because I've got an active Coffee account, that someone had commented on my latest blog post And when I went to look at the comment, I saw my full name as the commenter with a picture of me next to it. So someone had created a fake account of me and was saying really like harsh, like nasty things. And when I went to the account, their bio was something along the lines of, I'm a garbage wannabe content creator, give me free money, like XOXO. It was very that one felt very feminine. That felt like a very feminine attack, and I did not release that information. I got it all taken down rather quickly and really privately. I did not release any information on that. I actually still streamed as per normal that day, pretended everything was like normal for a couple of weeks till I actually released what had happened because I didn't want them to know that they had actually gotten to me. And that's when I decided to take a step back from streaming and creation because I actually felt like someone had enough hatred for me to do some damage. And that was scary.
Yeah, I think the main thing that I've found with people who go out of their way to just troll is like if it's a one-off thing, they're just bored. Like they just see someone that fits their category of someone that they want to pick on, and they jump in there and they're bored or unhappy or like they think it's funny, and so they just jump in and they're not really thinking about it. They don't know who you are. They don't care. They're not going to do it again. That's more common.
Like I said before, the comments I usually get are quite minuscule. Like it's really just like, you're not funny, you're ugly, I don't like your face. Like just the most bargain basement comment. Like
Anything you could think of, they'll pull it out and just be like, this is a trolling thing. I had someone make fun of my eyebrows once. I was like, okay, that's so specific to pull out. Yeah, I don't know. They'll just like pick one weird thing and start saying it.
Creators do get popular from the way they look, and that is not something they can prevent from happening. But it doesn't mean they don't work hard and their content isn't good, or they're not striving to be better as a professional. However, people will always lash out. That just made no sense. But it doesn't mean they don't work hard and their content isn't good enough or striving to be better as a professional. However, people will always lash out with that comment, but they followed the creator for that reason, for how they look. So it isn't fair to use that as an insult. And in any sense, it is a reflection on the audience member. It isn't the creator's problem. It's the audience's problem.
Yeah, like I think that's the most commented thing. I think anytime anyone wants to like discredit me or anything that I do, the first thing they jump to is, you're just famous because you're a woman and you fit the mold of like generically attractive or whatever. Like I don't necessarily, like, I can acknowledge that my pics blew up because the Halo community is mostly men and I am a woman, and the photo was quite flattering. Yeah, it's so hard as well because the majority of the comments that I'll get are one of two things and they're complete opposites. It's always, you're only famous because you're a woman and blah blah blah, and just completely disregarding everything else, or it's the complete opposite. I follow you because you don't do sexy cosplay. And it's like my biggest compliment that people will give me is like, you're my favorite cosplayer because you don't do sexy cosplays. You're my favorite cosplayer because you don't show off your body all the time. And it's like, I don't do that because I don't have the confidence to do that. I don't think it's wrong that people do that. In fact, I think it's sick. I support heaps of people that do that and have like OnlyFans and stuff like that. I think people should be able to do whatever they want and be successful and talented and do whatever they want. And it's just so annoying when people come on my stuff and they shit all over other women by complimenting me. So the amount of like, my most replied to thing where I'm like snapping at people is when people say, I like you better. Let's use Jess Negri as a example. Like, I like you better than Jessica Negri because you don't do sexy cosplay. You do like proper cosplay. And I'm like, well, that's still real cosplay for one. And also, that's not a compliment. You're just having a go at her and using me as a weapon to do that. So like, I will always snap back and be like, that is not a compliment. Please do not do that stuff in my comment section. And if they do it again, I will ban them.
Because in reality, you can't de-seat these people from their position of power and in the community, because they have been there for so long and they are friends with everyone. Comments that people get are basement comments, and whatever they can think of, they will pull it out. They will pick on one weird thing about you and say something about it. This isn't a new thing. It has been around for as long as people have been able to talk online.
I think in any job that requires social media presences, there are people in place to teach you how to be safe online and how to take a break from online. And I think it is definitely, as the internet, as our online spaces expand and grow and content becomes more accessible and more focused on online mediums.
It's getting more attention because we have more access and more ways to draw attention to it. It acts as a feedback loop. It's definitely a mental health minefield to do anything publicly on the internet, and there is no way to prepare for it. Unless you go in with a support network and can distance yourself from it by knowing it's not a direct attack on you, as it's just a stranger on the internet just lashing out for you for the sake of it. If you can detach from it, you'll have a better time for it.
If you're not prepared and you're younger, especially, it's so not good for you mentally, and also in terms of your sense of self. It's so bad for your sense of self and your sense of self-worth. The young female TikTok generation, even the young male TikTok generation, is just, they're gonna have so many problems in the next 10 years, just emotionally, mentally. It's not a good time to create content online.
Every person will attract a different audience and career path and the way you do things. Every creator online and internet user is going to have a different opinion.
Every single creator online and even just internet user is going to have an incredibly different experience, because it is just such a massive network of just so many people and so much content.
The very early days of World of Warcraft and Habbo Hotel, where online communication, it has always been a norm from the very beginning, because I think it was very obvious so early that people had a sense of power when people could not see them, and it has never been taken seriously from those early days. Even when incidences come out of online cyberbullying leading to really tragic events.
There is no way to prepare someone for it. There is no way to be you have to do X, Y, and Z to protect yourself from this, that, and the other, because you don't know what you're going to be on the receiving end of, and you don't know, where you're going to end up. So
it is still a hazard because it's not being taken seriously, and there is no protection for women or minority creators properly. Maybe in the future, but at the end of the day, no one is safe. And you have to go to a lot of measures to keep yourself safe, to keep things private. And no one should have to, but they do. No one should have to go through any of this. And unfortunately, it does. And it won't stop anytime soon, as people will always be people. You have to get people's mentality in the industry to change. But because the industry is so insular, they don't see it as a problem.
I think that is a huge part of some of the bullying and harassment that a lot of us face, is just a lot of people are lonely, or a lot of people have experienced it themselves, either in their personal life, from family, or people, so-called friends. And so they have learnt from that might be the only way to sort of react when they feel that way. I think it's a learnt pain that they pick up from other people around in their life, and that can be very hard to escape and get out of. And they just lash out at other people, it's really unfortunate. Which is why even when I might get a generalized mean comment, my first instinct is to try and just be kind, because you have no idea who needs the kindness that day. It's only when it's more of a serious thing where I might be a little bit less kind, when you can sort of read or tell when something is actually very deliberate versus a lashed out kind of response.
Should have to go through any of this, but unfortunately it does. And until I don't really see a point where it'll stop because people will always be people.
You have to get people in the industry's mentality to change, but because it's so insular, they don't see it as a problem.
It is okay to not like someone or the content that they produce. It is okay to think someone is annoying and to not want them in your space. It is okay to share your boundaries respectfully. If they start talking maliciously, let them. If they start preying, eventually others will see them for who they are and make their own decisions.
And there you have it. There's the beginning of the effects that frat-boy behavior has on women in the gaming industry. That's the topic I'm going to explore in my research project, and whether you would like to subscribe or not, you can base it on that.